good to be back at the Combine, back in Indy. Obviously, it's a college draft event, but a lot of free agency prep is continuing on here. A lot of work's already been done, so looking on to get started at year 5. A lot of work's already been done, just like I said, but excited to continue on. Questions?
In 2023, it seemed like you were looking for offensive weapons. 2024 was about fixing the secondary.
Yeah.
Do you find it easy to kind of compartmentalize on positions and maybe forget about other ones? How do you combat that?
Yeah, so last year with the secondary, I think I said it after the draft that we had been looking to add future in youth at the corner position for really since we had been there, and it just never lined up. We just we're not a needs-based drafting team. We just get the best football player for us, so we don't really get too fixated on positions. But I will say that one, it just kind of lined up perfectly because of what we went through during that previous season where we got so low on secondary depth that it just happened to line up that, okay, these are players that we really, really like, just football players we really like, and just happen to be, we happen to be able to double up at the corner position. So it just lined up that way. But we never really get too fixated on just like it's a certain position. I think I made it pretty clear that, the trenches are always going to be a priority. For us, I just think that's where the game is won. Dan and I are aligned on that, and you just can never really have enough of those guys. But it's probably a long-winded answer, but hopefully that gives you, yeah.
Same with the trenches. How aggressive do you expect to be in the high-end market there, either trade or free agency? Part two of that is all the future commitments that you have, sound like that, the guys that you've already signed, and then maybe how does that impact any sort of decision?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because there are a lot of decisions that we have to make because we're at the juncture with our roster right now that we have identified a lot of young core pieces that we want to keep around, and unfortunately that's the tough part is that you got to make decisions on other players contractually that you might not be able to keep that you want to keep. So it's not more so due to you don't want to have the players anymore, but you just can't have everybody. I really kind of looked at it just at the start of this year that okay, yeah, we had the first round pick in 21 that we already, basically rewarded already. But, 22 we had 2 1s, in 23 we had 2 1s. Well, in 23 we had 2 2s that year too that we had graded as first round picks. So that's like 7 first round picks in total that all players that yeah, we like them, but then you start adding on the other non-first round picks of the St. Browns, that already got rewarded. You got a Kirby Joseph that was a third. You know what I mean? So that stuff starts adding up, and you got to make some tough decisions. We've already started a lot of that work already in terms of the preparation and planning, forecasting, because whatever you do this year is going to impact financially the next year after as well. So it's a lot of work to be done on that front. What's that? No, it doesn't. I mean, obviously the free agency component, because we have so much that's upcoming, I don't really foresee us being. I don't know what the line is of big free agency. I know that you guys have questioned me in the past about how much, what is a big spender in free agency. Well, a $6 million guy, $8 million, $10 million, $12 million. That's not pocket change, which we've done that in the past. So I don't know if that's the 15 to 20. I don't know what that number is, but obviously it does put a limit to how much you can actually spend externally in free agency when you're trying to keep your guys that because what you want to do is you want to keep the known good players. And you don't want to compromise them to overspend on unknowns.
But many people do believe the roster is one high-end edge rusher away from being able to win the Super Bowl. What's your message to those that specifically think this was also a 25 meter high-end superstar edge rusher to compete for the West Coast?
Well, why do you say one high end?
Well, many people believe that with the roster you built with the D-line and the young core, that it's one piece away.
I know, but why do you stop at one high end edge rusher? Why not two or three or?
Said it's stuff to acquire.
Exactly. Exactly. That's my point. Is, look, yes, I mean, and I'm asking that in seriousness, but also transparently letting you know, like, look, we're not just looking for one high-end rusher. Well, we have a high-end rusher now. We want to have another one, yes, but we'd like to have 3 or 4 high-end rushers. But that's just not always the reality of what you're able to do. So it's definitely not being ignored. Look, I want to say all the conversations that I have with GMs, throughout the year when we're bouncing off each other, what you need or what we need to improve our roster. I can't remember a time where pass rushers ever been omitted. I mean, that's what everybody wants that. So, it's not going to be ignored. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the one player away. I think I've been pretty clear about that part because that one player on top of everything else that you have, and what you're definitely is that one player. That one player is not going to get hurt. That one player is not going to get hurt. So, but say that one player does not get hurt. Well, what if you have the attrition that we suffered this past season, where now does that one player make as much of a difference with all the attrition that you're out? So you got to look at all those different components. But no, pass rush will never be ignored. It never has been. But it's just those guys are hard to acquire. Hold on. Go ahead.
What do you think of the defensive line class as a whole? Some people talk about it being one of the best ones.
Yeah, look, I've always been kind of close to the vest about talking about strengths and weaknesses in a draft because it's very subjective. Some people might think, oh, yeah, this is strong. Some people might think, no, it's not as strong. But, no, like this one here, me and Ray Adney were just kind of looking at the totality of just, it's a lot deeper than what we can remember, at least in the past couple of years, and that's both inside and out for sure.
How do you balance the idea of, like, you talk about the attrition you had, how do you balance, like, the guys that were hurt and coming back with perceived needs?
Yeah, that's a really good question because, me and Dan are talking about it, like, when you're looking at, like, when you're trying to plan for free agency and, what you're trying to do, a lot of it is based on because of the injuries. Like, I was looking at our game versus Arizona. Was at like week 3, and we're looking at a free agent on the offensive side of the ball, and that was really the first time that I had seen our defense at that time, and it was like, wow, I forgot how good it was. Not saying there was not room for improvement. Of course it is. It always is. But, it was humming pretty good, both run and pass. But, when that attrition and a lot of long-term injuries, stuff that can go on through the season. So, yeah, that does affect it. So it's kind of like, man, I wish it was something like we just ignored something but injuries are part of the game. Everybody's dealing with it, and but it does affect some things that you wish you didn't have to do, but you got to do what's best for the team. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna get to you, and then go ahead. A quarterback? Yeah, I think it's case by case. When it comes to that position, you got to know the background and, kind of what the history has been with, are you speaking of like a young quarterback or like a veteran? Yeah, I think it's case like take for example, like when we were able to acquire Jared Goff, right? Like, there's no question on his ability. or, him throwing the football or being anticipatory or mental or physical toughness or anything that way. He just went through a period in his career where, he had some lumps and he was going through a tough time, and it was advantageous for both of us, us and the Rams, that we were able to acquire a player that was still young, that was still developing, and obviously has gotten a lot better. But so you look at that where, okay, he's got upside, we were never looking at, well, this is a guy that is at the end, but take case of like a Hendon Hooker that we drafted where, if you look at his trajectory or his past, kind of every step of the way, whether it was Virginia Tech, it wasn't an immediate, boom, he's on fire, he's the guy. Like, it took him a little while at Virginia. He got to use him a little while. So, and I feel like he's kind of in a similar position now. So, so I think it's case by case, but you have to know the player, you have to know the situation that player's in, and you have to be convicted on the skill set as well. I did say that he was going to be next, so I'm not trying to. I don't want to get to everybody. Go ahead. Yeah, that was. Look, I told Dan. Obviously, Dan doesn't have the time to go out on the road, but based on my experience in terms of coming up in the college draft space for so long, I mean, Tashard Choice, that's been a name that's held a lot of weight among college coaches. And obviously, he coached Jameer at Georgia Tech, which is huge, but he's one of those ones that, I would have never thought we would have been able to get, and we're just so glad that we're able to land him. So I think it's going to be huge. He's a fit, and not only Tashard, but all of our coaches that we have acquired. The numero uno is that he has to be a fit, and they're all fits. Obviously, they're great teachers. They're that passion to develop. They're great coaches, but they're fit. And so I just give Dan so much credit in terms of the patience that he displayed throughout this process. And when you lose two great coordinators like we did, and then other position coaches as well, to be able to add and replenish like we were able to, I thought that was just an incredible job by Dan. Yep. It doesn't really change. It doesn't really change anything from a roster building standpoint. You want to add as many explosive players as you can, regardless of which position it is. But it just kind of adds more firepower. Look, yeah, I'm sure people love to have two Jahmyr Gibbs, if you could. There's not a lot of those type of players around there, though. But, yeah, you just want to add as many explosive players as you can. I think we have a lot of them, but that's not going to stop us from looking to continue to add more. Does it matter what? Yeah. To me, no, it does not. No, it's an explosive gain either way. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's even. That's been me and Dan's vision from the get-go, just like you said. But I think it's even more clear and more evident now how important and critical it is. The attrition that we face, this past season, being that, we have the depth that we had and that we were so focused on. I want to say it was the Chicago game when we went up to Chicago. We had a lot of injuries, so it looked like on the surface that we had a lot of second backup level players on defense, but a lot of those players that we had playing for us, we had like starter level grades on them. So we felt pretty good, but we'll continue. It made it more evident that depth is a huge critical piece, and that's throughout the entire year. So it might not be first wave of free agency, it might not be the draft, it might be a Pat O'Connor during the summer that you add, and you just never know that that's going to be that critical piece that you need from a depth standpoint.
Last two over here, a little bit about the attrition on the coaching staff. I'm curious what kind
Oh, T, man, he is a obviously I'm probably a little biased. Obviously, he coached me in college, and I'm not just saying this because I've always been a fan of him. I do think he is, if not the best, one of the best defensive line coaches in the league, and he is such he's such a master of fundamentals. He can teach it very, very well. He holds players accountable. His players gravitate towards him. His players listen to him. He just has this uncanny ability to really connect and relate to his players, and they really got a good one. I hated to lose him, but just as an opportunity that he couldn't really pass up. I was happy for him, but he's a special coach. He really is, and I think it's going to bode the Patriots well.
As you jump into the season from last year here in the last couple weeks, what do you think of the way Terry played? Is he ready to be cornerback one if they don't bring Carlson back?
Yeah, he just has to keep, continue to work on his fundamentals from a technique standpoint. He's wired right. He's got the right attitude. Again, he took some lumps early, had some aggressive penalties early year. Like I said, at the end of the season, I did think the waters kind of calmed kind of halfway through. But and he's a very coachable player. He cares. He's passionate. He's prideful. So he's going to do the necessary things to continue making. He wants to be a great player. We want to be a great player. So I have no doubt that he's going to continue to develop. I thought Deshae did a great job with him, and I expect no different. But got a lot of excitement for Terry on. Yeah, it's it's like I told you guys, it's hard, man. It's not a lot of those guys available. Like, I say, so we lost a star pass rusher, right, due to injury, right? Well, just because you lose a star pass rusher, there's not but so many in the league anyways. And so just because we lost a star pass rusher due to injury, that doesn't mean that other teams are going to say, hey, we have a star pass rusher. I know you lost one, but we have one. Would you like to have this one? No, that's a star pass rusher for that team, and they're trying to win games. So, and it's not just a trade deadline. It's, free agency and during the year. Like, those guys are hard to find. That's why it's in position. But yeah, it's those guys are hard to acquire, and it's hard to keep them financially. Again, we have one that's due for an extension, and we've already kind of got into the planning stages about him already. And so when you talk about adding another one, it's like, oh, well, all right, can you financially add another one, because you want to add the other one on top of everything else that you have, and that makes it tough. Huh? Probably not. Yeah. All right, thanks. Yeah.